What's up, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Kara Corey here, registered dietitian, and I have one of my favorite videos of the year to give to you all today. So over on IG, I did ask you all to let me know what you felt were the worst trends in nutrition and diet in 2021 and what you had hoped to see die. So I'll let those scroll through right now, and I have to say there was definitely an overlying theme here with what you guys wanted to see go away, and a lot of what you guys mentioned is what I'm going to mention in this video too. Before I get into my top 5 diets that this dietitian wishes would die, I want you to go ahead, take a moment, go down to the comment section and let me know your number one. I know from past videos doing this, some of y'all are about to get butthurt with some of the diet trends that I'm gonna mention. But look, I want to give you guys my insight, my perspective on things with this video, my dietitian opinion with approaching weight loss or even just improving health indicators is finding a realistic, sustainable way to do so, which is usually finding behavioral changes that last long term. So that's where I'm coming from when I mention some of these diets that I think are just fads that need to go away. It's not to say that these couldn't potentially be used in certain ways or for certain medical needs. I am always open to things, and I just say keep an open mind as well as we go through some of these diets. Some of these maybe have worked for you in the past. I'm sure you'll quickly comment below if it's been something that you've done that has worked for you. Maybe you're currently on this diet, and that is great, I say. As long as it's not negatively impacting your health and you're doing what you need to do to truly know it's not impacting your health negatively, if it's not impacting your life, your relationships, your family, your job, all these things that we need to kind of keep in mind when we choose to basically label ourselves in attack one diet and have the diet mentality, you need to think about how it impacts you. So if it doesn't impact you negatively whatsoever, then you go Glen Coco, you stay on that diet. I like to always keep an open mind too, because although I've been trained to follow the research, follow the science, that's what we do in nutrition. However, science is ever changing. It's not a hard and fast thing. It's ever changing, and things continue to be researched, and we find out new information all the time. So I am always GNU. Is GNU a word? I don't think so. It's kind of like douche GNU. We're gonna GNU it in 2022. But 2021 was a great year. If not for nothing, if you didn't have a good year, we freed Britney Spears, you guys. So let's at least give it up for freeing Britney Spears in 2021. Makes me feel like we can do anything in 2022. But with that, let's go through the diets that I don't think that you should be hopping on come January 1st. No particular order here, but number one diet I'd like to see die, and you probably already know I'm gonna say this. This is the number one thing that stirs people up, is the keto diet. I have been talking about the keto diet and wishing it would go away since 2019. If you guys have gone back and watched some of my older videos where I've done these diet trends, keto's been on my list for a couple years now. It's been very popular, I would say, since 2018, although the diet has been around for a very long time. If you're not familiar with it, it did come about, almost stumbled about it, if you will, in the 1920s. So long time ago, we stumbled upon it for use in seizures or epilepsy, in effort to kind of help rework the brain and limit seizures. So this is a valid diet. This is not just a fad diet. This is an actual diet that does have a really great medical indication to it if you are someone that struggles with seizure disorder. In terms of hopping on the keto train though, the keto culture lifestyle, if you will, an effort to lose weight, for me personally, I find it way too restrictive. Now, it's not to say that maybe there isn't a time and a place to work keto into your diet, try it out. makes me cringe, but I do hear a lot of doctors quickly prescribing it to people just for weight loss. And I struggle with that because I do think the majority of people are not going to be able to sustain this diet long term. I know a couple of you will comment, you've been on it for 2 years and you are all good in the hood. Good for you. But come back to me when you've been on it for 50 years. All right. Like that is what I would like to see, that you've been on it super long term with no negative health effects and that you've been able to do it effortlessly. If you're not familiar with keto is a process of essentially restricting nearly, if not all of your carbohydrates. It's kind of like more is better. And before folks say, well, there's different styles of keto, there are. So I'm generally talking here, there are a few different ways of attacking keto. I am generally speaking here that for the most part, people restrict carbs as strict as possible, less than 50 grams, 20 to 50 grams, usually not above that, because the goal is to be in ketosis and to stay there. So to get into ketosis, typically our body utilizes carbohydrates as the energy substrate. That is what our body thrives on. It's what it's used to. It's what it uses for energy in our brain and to do basic functions, right? It's what feels most comfortable in our body. So when you switch over and super restrict carbohydrates, now I want to also mention this isn't just restricting carbohydrates. You can't just go high fat and high protein. Protein can also be used as a carbohydrate substrate for energy in our body via gluconeogenesis. So it's still just as critical when on this diet to ensure you're not eating too much protein. So a lot of people do literally like 90% of their calories coming from fat, anywhere from 80 to 90%, and about 10 to 20% from protein, as a little bit as possible from carbohydrate. It can take weeks, it can take a bit to adjust and get into ketosis, where your body is then truly using fat for energy. There is a shift there within your body where it does take a bit of time to get used to, and some say that they have much more like energy and mental clarity once they get to ketosis. I'd say that's like the number one thing people report is this like mental clarity once you're going through ketosis. I do see that a lot of people follow the diet and do lose some weight. Some people follow the diet and don't lose any weight at all. Again, it's going to depend really on how strict you are and how you approach it. If you're someone who's going to be on keto and not really track, you may need to if your thought process is losing weight. But weight loss doesn't always magically occur with keto. Some people sustain their weight, some people gain weight. It really depends on what you're consuming and what your output is. Key here is you have to stay in ketosis. So there's really no having like off days or going up and down. When you do that, your body is going to naturally resist that, and it's going to make it really hard to get back into ketosis. Your body is going to shift back into its natural pathways. If you have a day where you relax, you chill out, you eat whatever you want, you are not going to want to shift in and out of ketosis if your goal is to actually lose weight. This is what makes it very challenging to sustain. Most people are not going to be able to sustain just eating super high fat, decent amount of protein with little to no carbs for the rest of their lives. So for me personally, I find it a very restrictive diet. And again, let's talk about what your goals are. Are your goals performance-based? Are you wanting to also be athletic and work out and feel fit? Because one of the number one things with being on the keto diet and being actively in ketosis is your performance typically suffers. Not only your performance in the gym, your ability to be explosive, to be strong, to feel powerful, but also on the other side of things in terms of your recovery. If you're someone like myself who's trying to live a healthy lifestyle and feel athletic and fuel athletic performance, this is where some of these diets are not going to work because they are way too strict. A couple other mentions here with this diet, the fact that when you are in ketosis, and maybe this isn't a deal breaker for some, but you will have what we like to call dragon breath because you are burning through ketones. The only way to excrete ketones is either through the urine or through the breath. So when you are burning that fat, you can taste it, you can smell it, it stinks. The other thing people people report is massive constipation. People report like, am I ever gonna poop again? We don't know. When you are eating that type of diet, well, you should still be pooping. You should still be going, but people report a lot of constipation. Maybe you can combat that with an increase in your fluid intake in your water. I'm not sure, but that's another negative of this one. And lastly, we just don't know at this point in time long-term health effects. If this does impact our cardiovascular indicators, you know, things like that should be monitored. We don't know at this point. So that's another thing to consider. If you are someone that already is at risk, you may want to look for another method to lose weight. The other thing I've seen too, just to throw in there from my own personal experience with knowing people and seeing people, it is a very time-consuming diet. So if you're someone that's like, I don't have time to meal prep, it's too much work, get ready for keto. It's not to say you can't eat out with doing keto, but you really have to be very purposeful with every single meal. Getting very high fat protein meals on the go isn't always an easy thing. So it is a bit more time consuming. It requires a lot of your own research. It requires a lot of your time and preparation to make that happen. Ask yourself this, is it really worth it? Are you looking to do this because of potential health benefits you're feeling like you may get from it, whether it be hormones or other types of things going on internally? Or are you just looking to do this because you think it's going to cause a quick weight loss? Some get a quick weight loss at first due to the decrease in carbohydrates, but often that kind of levels out and folks don't always lose a ton of weight on this diet. I've just known way too many people who cannot sustain it, but would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Number two, this isn't something that, I don't know if you would call this a diet, but this is something that was so super popular in 2021, probably 2020 as well, but I heard a lot of people doing this last year, and that is the 75 Hard program that Andy Frisella, if I'm saying his name correct, kind of came up with. So he had basically like 5 pillars, if you will, for what you need to follow with this program. It's not something he sells to you. It's not a book or anything like that. I don't know, maybe he sells something there, but there's 5 pillars essentially of what you need to follow for these 75 days. He wrote right on his website, this is not a fitness program. He said it's a mental toughness program, which I think that's cool. I know for me personally, bodybuilding did teach me a lot of mental toughness when it comes to discipline and kind of working through some of those self-limiting beliefs that we have on a daily basis, thinking we can't do this and we can't do that. You know, we have a lot of mental self-talk and we're kind of shitty to ourselves, right? So I'm a huge proponent of mental toughness and kind of, you know, working on that a bit. But here's his 5 pillars to the program. Number 1, it's 75 days long. Reason being, he says it's a long enough duration of time to where you actually build skills, and he feels like that's what makes his program sustainable, is because you actually spend long enough developing your skills, behaviors to keep this in place. Number 2, you have to follow a structured diet. Now, he doesn't tell you what this structured diet is. He just says, follow some structure. It's up to you. Figure it out, follow a structured diet. I'm okay with that concept. I don't see anything wrong with giving the advice to follow something structured. I think many of us need structure and do well with structure. I think structure has proven to help folks lose weight. So I think that's an okay ask of people. I just think it is very generic. And when people hear to follow a diet, they think it has to be strict. Like, we don't think about, well, let me kind of hone in on some of the things that I need to improve upon. I think people immediately go to strict, strict, strict. And those that I've known to do the 75 Hard do just that. They're like, I'm gonna try to lose as much weight as I can in 75 days and follow my no sugar, no carb, la-da-da diet. And people, boom, you've already set yourself up for failure and you haven't even started this program. So that is a huge downfall to me. There's no education done around a structured diet and what that means for the person, right? Okay, number 3 is you must do 2, not 1, 2 separate 45-minute sessions, all right? That's an hour and a half of activity each and every day, 7 days a week. Do you guys feel like that's realistic? I don't even know that I was doing that when I was in bikini prep, but okay. 2 sessions, one of them being outside, which I like that. I like that he throws in a recommendation of getting outdoors, because even in the crappy weather, I think it is good for our soul. It's a good habit to get used to getting outside, getting some fresh air, getting a change of scenery. But you have to have those 2 sessions every single day. And he states if you miss one of those, literally it says, if you miss one of those, you have failed. You failed, you have to restart the program. That is the biggest freaking issue with this program right there. Like, you just put in there that you have failed and have to restart. That right there, I understand your thought process with mental toughness, but what you're doing is exacerbating the issue people already have with the all or nothing mentality. The fact that I've failed, I suck, I have to restart. That process is not a lifestyle changing process. That's making someone feel like it's like a scare tactic, like to make sure they do what they need to do. And that's only going to work so long, which is for your 75 days, maybe. So that's a huge issue there. I feel the majority of people cannot sustain an hour-and-a-half commitment 7 days a week to activity, nor do I think that level is necessary, especially from straight out the door. If you're someone who isn't even working out, for me personally, I've been working out a number of years. For me to go from what I'm doing right now to commit to an hour-and-a-half of activity every single day, that would be a challenge for me. I'm not gonna lie. Not to mention your body does need recovery, and there's no mention of any kind of recovery in his program whatsoever. I guess you would just need to finagle that on your own between your 2 sessions and maybe lighten something up. But I just feel overall 2 45-minute sessions a day is asking a lot of people, and therefore it isn't going to make it something that is going to become a habit for them after your 75 days are over. I see your 75 days have ended, and you are going to be so sick of those 2 sessions, you're probably going to quit working out altogether. And I've heard that with many people. All right, his next concept is drink a gallon of water a day. Why? That is so generic. Not every person in this world needs to drink a gallon of water a day. That is a myth. Everyone has different fluid needs depending on your size, your gender, your activity. A gallon of water could be too much for some people. Are we even considering the kidney health of someone and other medical conditions that could be impacted by this? So again, you're kind of skating on thin ice here with your recommendations for it being you need a gallon a day. Not everyone needs a gallon a day. Next one I kind of like. He just has read 10 pages of a nonfiction book. The thought process there is more so just bettering yourself, and it can't be an audio book. You have to actually dedicate that time to reading 10 pages. And I know a lot of people report they really enjoyed that part of the program, which I like because it kind of forces you to commit to spending that little bit of time on yourself. Maybe he could have thrown an option in there for some journaling or meditation. I think that would have been another nice add-on. That's something that I usually like to include for folks who are working on themselves. But I don't really have anything bad to say about that recommendation. The last one here is daily progress pictures. So that's part of his program. 75 days, you're taking a photo of yourself every single day. That can be really hard for people. I guess I don't have a huge issue. I don't know that it's super necessary for people, but I get the thought process of kind of being able to look at yourself and see those small changes over time. I think daily is just a bit excessive, but that's just how I approach things with my clients. I think daily is pretty excessive. Even when I was in competition prep, I didn't do daily photos until like peak week before a competition. It was just not necessary. You're only going to see so many changes every single day. Why can't you do a weekly photo? You'll probably capture enough there versus someone being chronically stressed out with having to take a photo of themselves every day. Can be very triggering for some people, but his thought process is get mentally tough, work through that, and start taking a look at yourself every day. Okay, I get that too. Overall, I just have heard so many things with the 75 hard where it's a repetitive thing, all right? I've not heard many people who say they did the 75 hard and it changed their life and their behaviors for the long term. It reminds me of a similar program I used to do where what you saw was a lot of repeat customers because people get dependent on these strict rules of this program. They follow it hard, they follow it good for that duration of time, and then you need a break. And you need a break, not because you're weak, not because you're not mentally tough. You need the break because it was too strict. If something is making you feel like you can't wait till it's over, or you can't wait till you can eat this, or you can't wait till you can have a day off from the gym, odds are you're not going to be able to sustain that past the 75 days. So that in turn is my issue with the 75 hard. If you guys enjoy these types of videos and want to hear what I think are the best diets or the best fitness trends of 2021, make sure you do thumbs up this video, like, subscribe, do all the things, and leave me a comment down below. I know this one's a bit more, I don't want to say negative, I'm just keeping it real here, but if you want to hear my favorites from 2021, be sure to let me know and I can also do that video for you. Moving on, you probably are not surprised with this one based on me saying keto, but the other one that I have an issue with that you see a lot is the carnivore diet. So the carnivore diet, very simply, much more restrictive than keto actually. This one is foods that essentially, to keep it simple here, you can only eat foods that have either walked, flown, or swam. My swimming is doggy paddling, that's why I'm doing this. So that's it, you're essentially eating meat. I mean, broccoli doesn't fly or walk, does it? No. So you're just eating the meats. This diet, I feel like, became heavily popularized from Jordan Peterson, who is a motivational speaker, very motivational. He's got a very interesting life story. He's been on Joe Rogan quite a bit talking about this diet, also talking about how it not only helped himself, but his daughter, Michaela, helping heal a lot of her health issues. So this diet to me, I feel, again, in terms of weight loss, in terms of sustainability, in terms of only being able to eat this the rest of your life, I feel like that's a very challenging thing to say. Although, when you talk to Jordan Peterson, like, I haven't talked to him, but when Joe Rogan speaks with him, he makes it sound like he's good to go, like he doesn't miss any of that stuff. Maybe it's because of how much it improved their health. But for me, I can't prescribe that from a perspective of losing weight. Now, I do know that there is a lot of people trying this out, doctors recommending it based on autoimmune disorder. And if you've got something going on autoimmune, this could be one thing to try out to see if it helps you kind of decrease some of those autoimmune responses. Now, if you don't know, my husband has a host of medical issues, autoimmune stuff, and this was something he actually did toy with, and I would have supported him through that. So I'm not being a hater for any of these particular diets. I will say, I think there's a time and a place, and I do understand the medical field, where when you are in desperation mode, where nothing else is working, sometimes stripping away some of the other stuff to see if you can kind of tease out and find some flare-ups could be a viable option. However, when it comes to weight loss, I'm going to say a big fat no. Big fat no. If you're just looking to lose weight, this is an unnecessary thing to do. And if you are trying to do this based on your medical issues, I would say definitely do this under the guidance of your doctor. Hopefully you're working with more of a naturopath who can test, do blood work, monitor all this stuff. Really, for any diet you go on, if you're really gonna go on a fad diet or eliminate things in your diet, you best be getting blood work done. How are you gonna know what you should be eating, how things are impacting you, unless you have that information? So if not for nothing, you don't listen to a word I say in this video, at least take that tip from me, and before you start your new program come January 1st, at least go out there, do your due diligence to get a full panel done of blood work, check your normal basal metabolic panels, check your thyroids, check your hormone levels, girls and guys, get the full workup if you can, vitamins, minerals, you name it. Because these diets, carnivore and keto, or 75 hard, depending on what you're doing, another long-term effect we could see here is major nutrient deficiencies. And those don't only exist in third world countries. Those can exist here. You can also be very well nourished and have vitamin deficiencies. You could see major medical complications due to nutrient deficiencies. Sometimes you just need to focus on the nutrient deficiency. So be careful before you get yourself into such a restrictive phase, whether it be for autoimmune purposes or weight loss, that you make sure that you're covering your bases and really checking in with what's going on internally. I do want to mention Sean Baker, I guess, was a huge leader in the carnivore movement as well. He had a book come out in 2018 that I guess is still pretty popular. He, however, was a medical doctor, and he had his medical license revoked, interestingly enough. Now, I don't know if it was due to all the carnivore stuff he was putting out there or not. I guess there's some videos on YouTube with him giving his side of the story. I haven't really went in depth with those, but something to take a look at. Make sure you do your research on this stuff before you try anything new, whether it's a diet or a supplement. Do your research on this stuff and be careful whose guidance you are following. Number 4 on my list are the detox and cleanse diets. Skinny teas would fit in here still as well. Those are still around. These are still a thing. There's tons of different ones, and you're about to be blasted with a plethora of fun, new, sexy names come January with your detoxes and cleanse. Detox is just a very catchy term. It's great for marketing purposes. Who doesn't want to detox? It sounds good, right? If you're feeling crappy, you want to detox. Like, it sounds like you want to believe it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very careful about what you're looking at that is going to detox and cleanse you. I like to mention, if your body is functioning normally, you have things like your kidneys and your liver that are natural detoxifiers. We are detoxifying on a daily basis. So that is something that does occur internally. Now, it's not to say that I am against an actual detox. I'm a huge proponent of a good colon cleanse, you know what I'm saying? But some of these diets are kind of crazy with what they require you to do, and they're very short term. There's, they're all a little bit different, right? But same concepts for most. Some actually have you fast for a set period of time. Some have you fast and then follow it with like raw fruits and veggies. Some throw in like a juice cleanse where you're blending them up, but they're all very much so a short duration of time where, yes, some people report having a boost of energy. They feel more clear. They feel more light, which could be true. It makes sense. You are eliminating a lot of probably the crap that you're normally consuming. So you have to think about it from a realistic mindset here too. When you see that you feel better and you feel more energetic, is it because of the diet? Is it because of the cleanse? Or is it because you removed all the bullshit, right? So you got to be honest with yourself here. These things are not long-term. If they produce any weight loss at all, it's going to be very, very short term. So this is not something that is sustainable. And if you can't sustain it, do you need to do it? Last on my list is Whole30. Whole30 isn't inherently a bad concept. It requires you to eat more whole foods. I agree with that. I don't have any hate for that. More fruits, veggies, things that aren't packaged. That's great guidance, right? But it does also ask you to eliminate basically all grains, all dairy products, all legumes, therefore making it much more strict because you're omitting whole food groups here, which makes it very challenging for people to continue past the 30 days. I do think Whole30 has come up with some marketing for like second phase stuff. Like you see these diets that have 5 different phases to it. That's just too confusing and unnecessary personally. But some people use this maybe as a good jump start into weight loss or healthier habits, but I beg to ask you, why is this even necessary then if you can't sustain it the 30 days? It is not meant to be sustainable. Again, it's a 30-day program, and then afterwards, what are you gonna do? What is your plan after the 30-day diet is over? Are you gonna go back to normal eating habits, or do you really think you can stay true to that? Some may say, well, why is that an issue, Kara? It's an issue because what happens is you have that initial weight loss phase. You do your 30 days, you go real strict, you lose the 10 pounds, congratulations. Now you get back into regular life, and guess what? You're probably gonna gain all the weight back. And that's what's not good for your health either. So the up and down yo-yo dieting, start to take a little note of how often you've dieted in your lifetime. How frequently, when you think over the years, have you gone on a diet and gone off, and what has happened with your weight? What's your weight history? Maybe take a moment and write that down instead of jumping on a trendy diet. Let's take an honest look at ourselves. Let's peel back those layers and say, this is what's happened to me. I'm a grown adult here, and what stages of my life did I feel best with my weight? What was I doing? Was it sustainable? How long did I sustain it? Am I wishing I could weigh something I weighed in high school when I wasn't even technically through puberty yet? All right, I hear so many people say that too. Well, I want to get back to my high school weight. It's not going to happen, most likely. You weren't even a grown adult yet. So that's just a concept you should throw out the door. Quit setting yourself up for failure with some of these ideas. take a look at what you're really doing. This is what I am begging of you. Take a look at what you're doing. Most of us can do better in some areas. Some of us are super disciplined, we got it down pat with what we do, but many of us don't. So take a look at yourself and say, what could I improve upon? You don't need to subscribe to any of these wild diets in effort to improve your health or even to lose weight. We make it more difficult than it needs to be. And I promise you long term, it's gonna be better for you and your health to take things slow and steady and sustainable. Those were my top 5 for 2021 that I would kind of like to see go away. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I can't wait to read your comments for what diet trends you would like to see go away. Also, don't forget to let me know below if you'd like to see my top picks for fitness nutrition trends in 2021. Also, what are we going to see in 2022? I feel like it's been a quiet couple years, maybe because of, you know, the C word and everything. We haven't seen a lot of crazy changes with major diet trends. There'll always be the new up and coming books and, you know, influencers who don't know anything, claiming they do. Well, I'm curious to see what's to come in 2022, what other diet trends are on our way. I hope this video finds you guys well and you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one.